Mike Rowe is joining us this morning. You might know him from the show Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe. He also got a popular podcast, The Way I Heard It. Good morning, Mike. How are you, buddy?
I am living the dream, or whatever this is.
And you are a busy dude.
I'm trying to play the cards I got. You know, Dirty Jobs was unanticipated. I was 42. It blew up. It turned into this thing, and it opened a bunch of doors I didn't think I'd ever walk through. But you know, it's good to be busy, and it's nice to have a bunch of days stacked up that are not identical to the one that that you just lived.
You were 42 when you started Dirty Jobs. What did you do before that?
Everything.
Yeah, I'd had about 300 jobs in entertainment. I'd worked for most every cable channel. I'd done lots of commercials, infomercials, sitcoms, pilots, talk shows. You know, my whole business model in those days was based on finding ideas that were so poorly conceived that no amount of luck or skill could possibly save them. And I would attach myself to these turds, right, and do my best, but nothing ever really worked. But I got paid, and that was fine. And that was my model. It was a strange way to work in entertainment, but you know, it worked for me. And then one day I wound up in the sewer with the cameraman, doing a story about a septic technician, a sewer inspector. And we put that on a local show up here in San Francisco, and I got thousands of letters from people saying, you think that was dirty? Wait till you see my brother, my cousin, my uncle, my mom, my dad. Wait till you see what they do. And that was the beginning, and I never looked back.
I'd never compare you to Adam Carolla, but we just recently talked to him as well. And you guys remind me of each other because of your wisdom, your experience. I think the way you both grew up, you both are hardworking, and you both could see that we're not having this in our next generation. Do you see the comparison I'm kind of making there, Mike, or am I way off in left field?
No, I mean, look, it's not for me to compare myself to anybody, but I can tell you I've done his show a number of times. He's done mine. We become friends, and I think the thing you're talking about is the fact that we both look at what we do as a job. We both see ourselves fundamentally as tradesmen. We just have a different toolbox than a stereotypical tradesman. But Adam grew up, you know, framing houses and working in the trades. He's actually got that gene. He's good at it. I'm not. You know,
Really?
I'm okay, but I didn't. You know, the skills that we really highlighted on Dirty Jobs, they didn't come easy to me. But looking back, I think that's why the show worked. You know, I didn't have to be an expert. I could be an apprentice. I could be a guy who just tried to keep up. And the viewer then had a chance to see the work in an honest way, but they also had a chance to see an expert, like a real expert, who wasn't impersonating a host or just trying to be something in this weird world of reality TV.
Man, you're
it was
right.
a very honest show.
It's organic, and that's what we see happen with even our radio show every day. I mean, if it's made up, it's not flying with the audience. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm being serious.
Know.
Do you drink alcohol?
I sure do.
Do you drink? I mean, what would you say on an average week?
I can't think of the last dinner that I haven't had at least a glass of wine with, and normally in the evenings I'll have a snort of bourbon. But yeah, I mean, it's a part of my life. I enjoy it.
Okay, we do as well. But sometimes when I talk to people like you and how much success and how busy you are and how on it you are and constantly going, I get worried sometimes when I wake up and I'm like, man, is it because I'm drinking now? I maybe shouldn't have the entire bottle of wine, but I just try to learn from other people that I look up to of what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, right. You know, that's I've been working on that book for about 10 years. It's like lessons from the dirt. You know, like I learned a lot of things doing Dirty Jobs that sort of reconnected me to a lot of things. You know, like where my food comes from, where my energy comes from, all of that stuff I grew up with a real appreciation for it, but I became disconnected from a lot of things, and I think a lot of Americans have as well. What that has to do with alcohol, I don't know. I can tell you I've got a line of whiskey called Noble, named after my granddad, that Dirty Jobs was named for as well. But look, there's nothing new to say, right? There's no new information out there. The Greeks had it right. Everything in moderation. Yep. Maybe not everything, but most things.
Most things. We're talking with Mike Rowe. Mike, tell us about the Rowe Works Foundation.
Yeah, that evolved out of Dirty Jobs. It began as a PR campaign for a few million good jobs that nobody seemed to want. The country went into a recession back in 2009, and with all these millions of people were unemployed, it was headline news every day. But everywhere we went on Dirty Jobs, we saw these help wanted signs. It was strange that there was so much opportunity that existed at a time of such high unemployment. So Rowe Works began as a PR campaign for good jobs that nobody wanted, usually jobs that didn't require a 4-year degree. Today, we offer work ethic scholarships for those same opportunities. So right now, for instance, there's $1 million sitting there at microworks.org, and it's set aside for people who want to learn how to weld or be a mechanic or a plumber or a steam fitter, a pipe fitter, or a heating air conditioning specialist, electricians. All these jobs are open today. There are 11 million open jobs today that don't require a 4-year degree. So we've tried to make a persuasive case for those jobs and to help train people who want to go in that direction, and at the same time challenge the cost of a 4-year degree. It was a hell of a thing when we pulled shop class out of high school. Mm-hmm. We created all kinds of unintended consequences when we did that. The skills gap is one of them. Student debt is another. Rowe Works tries to push back against both those things.
When we were kids, we wanted to be a fireman, cop, a teacher, a builder. And now they want to be a YouTuber, a fighter, pro sports, basketball. How are you convincing kids that they need or want to do this?
Well, the key for me is not to paint with too broad a brush, because the truth is there are kids out there who will wind up making a great living on social media. Maybe they will be an influencer. Maybe, I don't know. I don't like the numbers. I don't like the odds. But I hate the idea that there might be somebody listening to this conversation right now who is going to hear the wrong thing, and this is what politicians do all the time. It's this cookie cutter approach to education, and it's this tendency to talk as if the best path for the most people is this one thing. That's what I've learned, honestly, is a whole lot more dangerous than a little bit of bourbon every night. It's this idea that there's one size that fits everybody. So, yeah, I guarantee you there are people listening right now who should go get a 4-year degree, who maybe can afford it, or maybe even should assume a little bit of debt to pursue it. I don't know who they are, but I also know there's a lot of people listening who would be much better served by mastering a skill that's in demand and starting their career not being $200,000 in debt.
Right.
Those people should go to my website and apply for a scholarship.
Okay, and with that website, I went there, and now I'm subscribed to Rowe Works email. What are you going to send me?
I'm going to send you some pictures that you could probably... No.
The website is microworks.org.
That's it. And I promise not to carpet bomb you with any spam or anything inappropriate. Once or twice a year, I'll just let you know where I'm speaking, what we're doing.
From Dirty Jobs, we talked with Mike Rowe. Thank you very much, Mike. It's good to talk to you.
Anytime, guys. I appreciate it.